end-to-end journey of best practices of IT. You can very confidently use all these things as part of your interview as well, and that will create a very positive impression to your interviewer. You have really worked and you understand how the project journey actually happens. Okay, chalo, let's get going. Okay, so we are already streaming live. The session is on YouTube and you guys are all ready and geared up. Chalo, let's go. Okay, so first of all, guys, just a quick recap, everyone. Agile, okay, it's a process of software development where we don't develop project in one go. Rather, we break it down into smaller pieces, and in every piece we develop few functionalities, demo it. If everything is okay, we take it to production, and like this, constantly, cycle by cycle, we keep adding more and more feature. And then over a period of time, it could be 8 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, depending upon the life cycle of the project, constant development will happen and things will keep going to the production. This is the basic cycle. Okay, now let me quickly share you the agile diagram that we showed last time. So have a look of it once again before we get with the stuff. Okay, so this is what is agile looking like. Last time we discussed there is a designation called as product owner. This guy, product owner, is the person who will be sharing requirements for the team for developing it. Okay, so all the requirements will be given by this guy, but he talks with the business, customers, and everybody, and then arranges the features in proper priority. Most important for the business to the least important one. Okay. There could be sometimes technical team might say, hey, this feature we cannot do it right now because it is having dependency with somebody. Then the product owner might internally discuss with customers, so you can negotiate it, but ultimately the authority of lining up the feature depends upon product owner. Okay, you can try to change it due to whatever technical reasons, but if he says no, we have to go with this, so then you have to go with that, because he knows the business priority better than the technical team. Okay, so this is important for everyone to understand. Ek second, just 1 second, guys. Just a thing. Let me post it. Okay, we are live. So this is what it is. That's how the journey begins. And then we will move on with the other aspects. Okay, next, we have already discussed checklists, right? So we came up with a checklist. Initially, you guys would have to do grooming. Okay, nothing but requirement clarifications with the product. So let me even open that checklist as well. Okay, so this is the project checklist. Sharing the screen again. Okay, here we go. Okay, so what is the work which is happening? So the product owner does all the discussion with the customers. He lines up the work, arranges it in a priority. Now his next task is to discuss these requirements with the technical team so that the team understands it. The process for that is called as refining, grooming, requirement gathering, clarification, whatever. Basically a meeting where these things will be done. We already discussed last time, the requirements will be given in Jira tool. And we saw the basic core essentials. It has to be written. The requirements should be written. Second, in a call, the discussion should happen so that there is clarity about work. Okay, these two things will happen. And as a result of that, these backlog items will be available. Okay. Next, when we connected earlier, we already discussed a checklist which needs to be followed during the grooming phase. So we will not go through this again. And while we were discussing about this checklist, we even came across high-level designing related principles, and we took some example as well last time. Okay, it was on Friday we discussed one, and we continued on that, which talks about how the services should be, how the communication should be, how the infrastructure wise security aspects are, and the checklist for that high-level designing is available here. Also, during the week 1, we have shared grokking system design document. If you go through that document, automatically you will be able to make better system designs. Okay, this is what is already done. So now you have to further apply, learn, and then master these principles. Okay, okay. Now once this is done, now dekho, just try to understand a few things here, guys. Okay, if you see this diagram, it talks about take the requirements and start in a meeting called a sprint planning meeting, and then the rest of the flow. Now just understand, last time when we discussed, we said the agile project will happen in small time frames. This time frame is called as sprint. The terminology sprint, it could be 1 week sprint to 4 week sprint. It can be 2 week sprint, it can be 3 week sprint or 4 week sprint. Different projects might have different sprint duration based upon the requirements of the customer and the project needs. Okay? Majority of the times, on an average, there is a 2 week sprint. Nothing but it starts this week, then you will work next week also on this, and then after that one, third week it will go to production. So basically 2 week sprints will be there. Okay, so something like this. If it starts, let's say 15th of May is the starting day, so then 15th to Friday, and then 22nd to 16th it will continue, and finally 26th will be the last day of the sprint. This is how 10 days ka working window. So by that way a sprint will be. Now few things important to understand here, everyone. Okay, and these are basics which Agile has not defined it very clearly how it should be. It is left up to the teams for implementation, but many people make mistakes here. Wrong implementation of Agile can make your life really challenging in industry. I've literally seen that. Okay, wrong implementation of stuff. You need to maintain few things clearly. While we discussed about the first 2 phases, grooming and high level, if you understand, there are things not 100% clear here. We said on last call when we connected, come up with list of functional questions. Next, come up with list of maybe technical questions. That means there will be questions. Everything is not going to be clear in the first attempt. And we said another thing on that day, the product owner and the technical team, these 2 people come together and then they brainstorm and finalize the requirement. The product owner will not always be 100% ready requirement. It is like both of us will discuss together and finally the requirements will be done. Okay. Now that means there is a lot of uncertainty. We don't know how much time it will take to clarify these requirements. Sometimes we might have to get an answer from a third-party team altogether, and they might take 1 week to even respond back to us. Okay, or some other team within the same company, and somebody has gone for a leave, so response is not coming. Plus, if there is a high-level technical design, the design itself might be so complicated that finalizing the design itself will not be clear. And that means, just know it, for a feature, before you even start with the development, there could be a lot of uncertainties. Okay, and if these requirements are not clear and the architecture is not proper, you cannot estimate the tickets. Estimate is you cannot tell how much time it will take for you to complete the ticket. It's a very important rule. Always, everybody working in the industry, stick with this. Without clarity, without knowing high level, how are you going to implement the feature, never give commitment of estimation. If with lack of analysis, if you are giving estimations, no analysis and given estimation, majority of the times it is going to go back on you, and you would have to work really hard, extra stretching in order to meet those estimations. So never give estimations without preparation. Product generally kya hota hai? They will come in the first meeting and they will give the requirements to you as part of refinement meeting, and immediately ask, tell us how much time it will take. Your simple statement should be, let us internally discuss it. We will check on the approach, and after that we can commit on the timelines to you. And while you guys are internally discussing on this approach and questions, then basically you should go. But one thing to understand, if these things are going to take time, one important thing where people go wrong is, if you include those items and say, okay, the first item we will develop as part of this sprint. 2 weeks ka sprint chal raha hai. It's only 2 week sprint. If you say first item, you have not done analysis, you have not done high level approach, And you are saying in this sprint itself, I want to do this. And then the product owner might say, okay, then finish it and give it to me. But now what is the problem? If you are now, while you are taking up the ticket, you confirm to product owner that in 2 weeks you will give the feature back to him, but you did not analyze it. You did not did high level technical discussion, design discussions. Now automatically what happens is, if during discussions a lot of uncertainty comes, you will not be even having time to develop, test, and give the feature back. Now what has happened? You have given a wrong commitment to the product owner in the beginning of the 2 weeks. Okay, you will give the feature here, but now you are designing, now questions are coming, and then you will not be able to deliver by the end of the sprint. So guys, this is a very big violation. How you need to handle this? So you cannot take the items in the sprint and then not deliver it. You have to be clear. So the approach, which is a good best practice of the industry, is this refining and high level approach part should belong outside your sprint. Okay, they should not be as part of your regular 2 weeks of sprint cycle. What your thumb approach should be, before you come to this sprint starting time, nothing but where you are supposed to actually develop for 10 days. If it is a 2 week sprint, 10 days of development. Before this 10 days start, you should already be clear on the requirements, and the high level approach should also be clear. That has to happen before the start of the sprint, not when the sprint is happening, because otherwise commitment shake. So that is one approach. How people can do that is, yes, there will be meetings which will be scheduled where there is only requirement discussions, grooming, brainstorming happening. And whenever the items get ready, then the product owner is going to line it up. Ki bhai, chalo, now it is ready for development. Okay, so guys, write it down. I think you should really make a note of this. The one approach is, okay, one approach, refinement and high level design, okay, should be, if not fully, but should be 80% clear before day one of sprint. Okay, then only you should further take it for development. That is one approach of handling it. So if this is not happening in your project, so life could really become very tricky, very hard work karoge, and like project is going to suffer basically. I've seen that happen. Okay. Now the second case is, if you say no, by the time we don't have time for doing this refinement meeting and high level discussion earlier, because people are already, kya hota hai guys, sprint works in a 2-week cycle. Okay, so just thoda sa relate here. Let's say if it is 1st of May, if it is a 2-week sprint, okay, 1st of May, 2-week sprint. So you will start, let's say week 1, 1st May to 5th May. After that, 8th May to 12th May. Okay, so let's say this sprint has happened, and then immediately from 15th May onwards to 26th, sprint number 2 is going to run, and sprint 3 will be 29th May to 9th of June. Nothing but this is going to be a sprint work. Okay, sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, and there is no gap. 1st May to 12th May. Okay, next sprint 2 happens then 15th to 26th. 15th to 26th May. And then sprint 3 happens, I'm just giving example, 29th to 9th May. Okay, 29th to 9th May. Now, what is happening is, let's say if this sprint 2 is going to start right now, which is 15th to 26th. So I am saying ki the requirements or the features of sprint 2 should already be groomed and high level designed before 15th May. That means while you are doing the earlier cycles of work itself. Okay, just a second, guys, just a second. The light was dancing. Okay, now that some of the teams might say, previously we are completely occupied with this sprint 1 work itself. We don't have time for now additionally grooming and then taking this work for 15. So some teams or some projects might say this is not practical for us. Okay, this is not practical. Then the second approach which you should do is, okay, fine, if not practical, then include these items of refinement and approach finalization as part of sprint, but don't give commitment to the product owner. In this sprint itself, we are going to deliver the feature to you guys. Okay, nothing but you say ki, as part of this sprint, we will take time only to analyze this feature. Okay, so let's say there is a task only for high level architecting and approach finalizing. It is not a commitment for delivery of the feature. And you should say that delivery of the feature we can only give you once we are ready with the high level design of the system. And that is the only way of doing it. Don't give commitment of the end delivery if you are not clear by when you are going to do this. Very important stuff, guys. Okay, don't violate this. Life is going to get really problematic. Okay, okay, fine. So this is how it is going to be. So just the first clarity, refinement and high level should happen differently. And then comes the rest of the phase of the sprint cycle. Okay, now comes this important meeting, sprint planning meeting. Now this is the meeting. So if the development is going to happen during the sprint, so before the sprint, there is this sprint planning meeting. Okay, and already in the diagram, they have explained what they are going to discuss here. Team selects starting at top as much as it can commit to deliver by end of sprint. Okay, so team selects starting at top as much as it can commit to deliver by end of the sprint. Nothing but, guys, this is the meeting where the full team comes together and tries to define how many features can they deliver as part of this upcoming, let's say 2 weeks, if it is a 2-week sprint. Nothing but in 10 days, how much of features can be completed and given back, that decision happens as part of the sprint planning meeting. Can we do 1 feature, 2 feature, 3 features? Here, all the people will be there. Okay, how many UI resources we have, how many server we have, how many DB, or if there is a database work, how many QA resources we have. Now, considering that if somebody is on a leave, or let's say for 1 week, somebody is going on a vacation, so then you have to even consider that, oh, this guy is not available, so we cannot consider his time as part of the sprint, or all of that factors, people factor, work factor, they all will be considered to determine how much of work the team can actually do. Okay, so one major outcome as part of this is how much work we can do. But now there is even second outcome which can happen. As part of this sprint planning meeting, people read the full requirement once again. Why? Because you are about to start with it. So people take the full requirement of Jira, they read it once again. Next, the high-level discussions which happened earlier, they even read the high-level discussions. Okay, and now they try to further think like, okay, what all work might be required to do in smaller pieces as well. Just some brainstorming, okay, maybe we have to do this. Nothing but task breakout is also going to happen here. Okay, so task breakout, like first of all, some projects they do this. Who will be the UI member working on this? Who will be the server member working on this? Who will be the QA member working on this? Because there might be, let's say you are choosing 4 features to be worked upon. Now, as part of 4, for each feature, 1 UI is enough, right? So by that way, you can figure out which person should be working on what features. That kind of clarity can come during sprint planning itself. So you will know, okay, in this coming 2 weeks, how much work is actually allocated to you. And if you are going to go on leave, you should already say, okay, but these 2 days I will not be available. So accordingly, your work is going to be planned. And that is how task breakout will happen. Okay, which ticket who will work. Second, estimations will be made more precise here. Okay, now this is important. Okay, estimations. Earlier, high-level designing happened. Okay, we have only done the high-level designing in the previous step. As part of this, you will even try to go to more detailed aspect. Okay, high level mein to this task is fine. We will do this kind of architecture. But in this meeting, at a granular level, you will think about, okay, what we might have to do. Okay, some DB changes will be there, some interfaces, or some kind of more, we have existing modules of the system, we can reuse that kind of module. So these kind of some smaller details will be also discussed during this. And using this, you can actually estimate that this task is going to take, let's say, 2 days to finish. Nothing but estimations abhi bahut precise ho jate. Not just 2 days, people talk in terms of hours. Okay, for doing this feature, how many hours of work is required? So now you have to become good in estimation. The UI member might say, okay, for this feature, I might have to do all these things. Roughly, it looks like 4 hours of work. The UI is saying 4 hours. Server says, okay, for us, server mein there is a lot of development. It might take us 8 hours to work. Then somebody might say, okay, we might have to do UI server integration also. So considering integration might also take 1 additional hour. Okay. Integration. Next, the tester says, I might need 4 hours for writing test cases. And next, I might need 4 hours for actually executing test cases, nothing but testing. Now, what has happened? These all hours combined together to say how much total time will be taken for that task for completion. Okay, total number of hours will be derived. Okay, and using this factor, then there are further more calculations. Let's not get part of that. But what you need to understand from developer perspective, every task which is being picked up, okay, if it is assigned to you, and during the sprint planning, try to see what kind of items needs to be done as part of your development activity, and accordingly try to estimate it. You have to be good in estimation, and this has to happen before you start the ticket, majorly during your sprint planning meeting itself. Because once you have this clarity, okay, what needs to be developed and then how much time it will take, then using this time factor itself, you can determine how much work you can do as part of that sprint. Understood? Because without time, without estimations, you cannot give a commitment. And then you will say, okay, so task 1 takes 2 days. Task 2 takes 4 days. Okay, task 3 takes, let's say, 3 days. And you are doing this number of hours and everything. And you need to understand, as part of this, the feature in the next 2 weeks, the feature will be fully developed. It will be code reviewed. The tester is going to write test cases. The feature is going to be given to the QA for doing the final sign off. And if everything is good, sometimes the feature might be going through some load testing also. And during your initial sprint planning, you should decide, hey, we will need load testing time also for this feature. Like performance testing will also happen. Sometimes security testing might also happen. So yes, seniors might take those calls, but yeah, you have to consider all that factor and then say, okay, so with this time and how many people are available for that sprint, we can complete only 3 features or 3 tasks. And then this is the commitment which happens as part of the sprint planning meeting. Okay, very important. You guys will have a role to play here. You have to estimate your own work there. Okay, now once this is done, then the team gives it back. Okay, so far, guys, did you understand this? Just type it in chat. Okay, everybody, did you understand this sprint planning? Because this is important. You guys would have to involve as part of this. So sprint planning meeting is where the task is broken down into smaller things. Okay, what are we going to do? Accordingly, estimation will happen. And based upon this estimation, you will say for this full 2 weeks, how much work we can actually complete. That is what work will happen during sprint planning. Okay. Now there are a few more things. Like you might say कि 2 दिन लगेगा, 4 दिन लगेगा. The product and the business will be के क्या है भाई, ऐसे कैसे 2 दिन 4 दिन लगेगा, this is a smaller feature, do it quickly. Now bargaining will happen. Okay, sometimes negotiation, bargaining. So you are giving something, you might have added some buffer when you are giving estimations. Now business says, no yaar, this is a very critical item, we cannot take like 4 days for doing this feature. So that will always be there in the IT industry. You have to convince people why that much time is required, and you have to be realistic. If you tell something and not able to deliver in that time, that's problem. Too much of buffer is also problem. So right estimation is required. Now, how do you do this right estimation? Once you do all this, you give it to the product owner, and then the product owner might say, no, this features, like we wanted even task 4 to be completed. You are saying it's not possible. We are not okay with this. The business is waiting. We want that by the end of the sprint, even task 4 has to be done. Sometimes people will come with that kind of thing, and you have to think how to the business we can really give value. Okay, now dekho, there are few things everybody should understand in the IT industry. Ki we have to really respect and deliver value to the business. Okay, that is one. But the second thing is, always working under pressure and tight timelines is not good for your health and for the project health also. Okay, let's say for one time you might say 3 days, practically we can do only 3. If you want us to do 4, maybe can you reduce the scope of maybe task 3? Aise negotiation hota hai. The full feature might expect a lot of things. You might say for task 3, can we do only, let's say 50%, and remaining 50% you move it later, and then we can include T4 as well. This is how bargaining happens. Which feature can be done, how much scope, so scope ko bhi leke aake try to trim down others. And then if business says, okay, that's fine, we can trim it, they will be okay with that. But sometimes if they say, no, we want that also, this also, then you should say, come on, it's not practical. We have only these many people, this much of time. But then they say, no, business really wants it, man, do something out of the box. In such cases, yes, late night stretches will be required, weekend work will be required. And guys, you need to understand that is part of our job. That's part of our job. Don't hate late night works or weekend work. That's how we are taking ownership for giving value to the customer. If the business needs it, we should be okay for that. But there is a but here. You have to tell to your product owner ki, bhai, for doing this, the team has to really stretch late, work over weekends. It's not really practical. Okay, but then make them realize that that is happening, and then you put effort. But again, in the next sprint, if the same drama happens again, you should raise a flag. Carry back-to-back 2 sprints, this is happening, it's not really good. And if the 3rd sprint happens, then you should say, no, we are not going to do like that. Okay, so you should not continue work pressure environment for a very long time. It's bad for your health and it is bad for the projects. Eventually what will happen, you guys will say, okay, the project is always in pressure, let me drop paper and go to somewhere else. Agile never wants that. So Agile wants you to do this decision making, how much work you can complete. Even if there are external people who are trying to put pressure on you, you have to be sensible enough how much pressure to take, how much pressure not to take. So even juniors, be clear. Dekho, unnecessary, don't try to manipulate system. Ki 2 din ka kaam hai and you're saying 4 days and then chilling out. That kind of life is not good. But be genuine, be realistic, and that's how things should be. Okay, fine, chalo, let's move on. So very important thing for understanding here, okay, for everyone. This will simplify a lot of mental pressure and torture which might come at work for some of you guys. Okay, okay. Now let's move on further. Now once this is done, the 2 weeks of work is planned. Okay, ab aata hai, chalo kaam karte hain. Now there is one nice checklist I have prepared, which every developer should do on the day 1 of the sprint. Now this is completely based upon my 13 years of experience. I realized that many people make a lot of mistakes which causes a lot of problems. So I've just created a checklist, what you should do on the day 1 of the sprint. And then we will discuss about, let's say, the 5 principles by which you should operate your sprint. Okay, so first day 1 dekhte hain. Okay, so let's say on the day 1, like we already discussed here, you will be given clarity which are your tickets, whether you are UI, whether you are server, whether you are QA, that kind of clarity can come. Sometimes the project will say ki bhai, whichever is the next ticket, you pick up that and you work on that. Sometimes some projects might have that, but for many projects, day one pe you will have clarity ke what will be your tasks. Okay, as part of sprint planning, they plan that kind of activity also. Now the thing is, if you already know in the day one itself, okay, what are your all list of tasks for that sprint, thoda you have to work now independently. Kya karna padega? First, read all your tickets line by line, because it is the day one. Don't forget anything. If you miss even one line of requirement, it is going to be a lot of pain end to end. You will miss in development, testing mein pakda jayega. If not in testing, production, UAT and all, everything, it impacts. Okay, so day one, read your full tickets end to end. Second, recollect the full design discussions which happened earlier for this ticket. It will be available in Jira itself, whatever you guys discussed. Okay, next, think about the low level implementation. Okay, now low level implementation, I have even put up some checklist for low level implementation here. Basically, what is a low level implementation? Like, okay, how your classes should be, how your interfaces should be, what should be the methods that you will use? Is there existing methods of the system which can be reused? Okay, what is interface? What is implementation? What is error handling in the system? How the database design should be made? Okay, all these things, like, are you going to use cache for something? So all these like day-to-day coding related insights you should be considering here. Okay, now that is all becoming as part of low-level design. Modules and components of the system, like which classes, which interfaces. Okay, next, as part of which microservice you should do what modifications. Then you have to stick with the basics. MVC, controller should have routing logic, service should have business logic, database should have only implementation DAO logic of writing and updating things. Don't try to process things on the database. Take the data, give it to the service layer processes it. That kind of a module clarity should be there. Which module will do what, which layer will do what in the system. Next, interfaces and how they will be connecting. Next, like one microservice talking to another microservice, how that should be, even figure out that. Next, input, output, and algorithm. It talks about, let's say, what should be the API contracts. We discussed on the week one. What should be the request endpoint name, request structure, response structure, and algorithm is like the logic that you will write. People just called it as algorithm. It's just the logic that you're going to write. What will be a logic of processing something? Think about that. What data structures will you use? Like cache mein agar rakhna hai or local rakhna hai, so is it going to be a hash or is it going to be a list kind of thing? Is it good for your application, slow for your application? You need to figure those things out. Next, coding standards and language is already chosen by your project. Database related, nothing but like what kind of errors will handle, how to handle those errors. And these are the things, essential things required for coding. And last time we also demoed simply if you can ask the right questions to chat GPT, it is really giving a lot of ready-made code, but you need to have the right understanding what to ask, and whatever it gives, how to trim it down into your project use cases, or logical thinking mind will be required. Okay, now I'm saying on the day one, read your requirements, even think about these things at a high level. Why? Because if you are not clear with something, you should note it down on the day one itself, so that you can ask your seniors or anybody else to get those answers. Because let's say if you have 3 tickets given to you for that sprint, if you are not clear with any of the item, you should know that in the day one and the day two itself, so that you can raise it to your tech leads or senior members, and then they will try to solve you. The problem which many developers do in the project is they say, okay, 3 tickets are mine. Day one, they take only 1 ticket and they do all this item only for the first ticket. And there maybe 2 or 3 might have some hidden problems which you have not even thought of. And then what happens, guys? Let's say ticket 1 itself took maybe first week for you, and ticket 2 maybe now you're starting and now you're realizing, oh, this I don't know, that I don't know, now I need to go get this answer, that answer. And then you're already at the end of the sprint. If the answers are delayed, you would have to then do everything late. It gets delivered to the QA late, the testers will do it late, feature is going to be impacted badly. So if you are not doing this day one analysis, all the tasks which is given to you, take it, dissect it, Think about low level how you want to build it. If there are any questions, pitch it to your seniors. I'm not clear on this. I don't know, like here database ka kya karenge, cache kaise hoga. Ask all the possible questions. Get into some serious discussion on the beginning 1-2 days itself. Once all your questions are raised, then when you get the answers, you can be very practical and you will not find surprises coming in the 2 weeks for you. Your development will complete properly. You will be giving to testers properly, and accordingly your feature will be closed properly as well. So that is where day one has to be special working for you guys. Don't leave it random, guys. IT may people feel work pressure a lot, and that happens because of these wrong working practices. Everything last moment pe pata chalta hai, and then they don't know what to do. There is a tight deadline coming in. Clients are like, no, whatever happens, you did not tell us early that you will not be able to do it, so deliver us no matter what, because you did not communicate. Then people say, IT is very bad, work pressure is too much high, I cannot work like this, let me quit job. Then people go to next company, they're also same work pressure. The point is, you need to know how to manage yourself in industry. I have literally seen people crying in the IT industry. Rote bande, okay? I have seen people, there were some of the guys in my team, they came to me and said, the doctor has given me prescription, okay, tablets not to take work pressure. Because of stress, my mental health is getting affected. So doctor has given me this prescription. And if there is high work pressure, then I am not able to work. Okay, next, I have seen people quitting the IT industry after 5-6 years saying, no, this industry is not meant for me. The point is, you need to know how to work in this industry properly. It's not just like a child game. You will not be able to cope up with the pressure if you don't work the right way. So please understand, everybody, freshers plus working professionals, industry can turn upside down on you. When it offers money, it offers a lot of pressure as well. You need to learn how to handle that pressure with ease. It can be done with ease. That's what I'm trying to tell this session, key topics to you, so that you don't violate these lines. So day one, all the tasks which are given to you, read it. See what were the earlier high-level discussions. If something is not clear, note it down. Next, think about the low-level implementation. At least some clarity should be there. Next, think about the API design. All this is low-level implementation only. API design, DB design, where and how the code will be done. Performance, so concurrency, all the day-to-day activity. Okay. Next, in Jira, maybe something is called as like task, subtask. In the subtask, you can put your understanding so that you can have something in written there as well. Next, look at the impact on the existing system. Now, this is important step. Discuss your understanding and approach with seniors. Now, I don't know to what extent projects or your teams or your seniors will encourage this, but I practically found that if this is happening in the system, okay, if seniors are reviewing the approach and the understanding of all the juniors of the system in the day one and the day two, then there is going to be very less surprises later. Practical experience se bol raha hu. So if that practice is not there in your system, I think you should encourage your manager to do it, or whoever is going to do your code review. You should say, okay, bhai, in the day one, day two, can you just check with me on how I am planning to implement it? Then you share your thoughts to that person. So that will help your time when he is doing the code review back to you. Very important phase. If this is not happening, you have done the full development. In the end, he comes and says, no, this is not what we wanted. You have wasted a lot of time. Now double work karenge. And that impacts complete cycle. The QA testing, dev closure, your unit testing, functional testing, integration, everything gets delayed if initially you're going wrong. So that's what one thumb rule you should always stick in the IT industry. Avoid rework. Write it down. This is very important. Avoid rework. Okay, try to do things one time and one time right. Think about it always. Write it down, guys, everybody. Avoid rework, one time and one time right. And how is this possible? When you do the things at the right time. Okay, so discussion with seniors should happen. And then maybe you can even do this. Again, I recommend it to my team members. On the day one itself, you know, if you are a server developer, who is the UI on that? Who is the QA on that? That decision has already happened during the sprint planning time itself. just go ahead, connect with your team members. Okay, let's say, for example, you have 3 tasks to work. Okay, as a developer, on the day 1, you have 3 tasks to work. Now, make it your responsibility. Don't wait for the project to do it. If you want to have your peaceful life in the IT industry, you should do this. Day 1 itself, see who are the other UI, server, QA members working on this. And whatever is your understanding of the thing, whatever you are speaking with the senior, just make sure you are on the same page. You discuss the same thing with the other members also. कि भाई are they also, because confusion हो जाता है. UI बोलता है अरे वो feature तो है ही नहीं, it is not like this. QA says no, that requirement is not like that. Confusion से wrong things gets implemented and that causes problems for everyone. So again, on the beginning itself, try to connect these people, share your understanding. If people are not clear what they should do, so then you should clarify, you should get the seniors involved. And guys, देखो, the sad truth of the industry, 80% of the people don't do this thing. And that is where projects suffer, people suffer. Only good people take the responsibility of their work, their project, sprint deliveries. And unfortunately, that is 20% to 30% like that. Rest everybody will be like, हाँ ठीक है, what is my task? चलो करते, just time pass कर रहे industry में. That's the truth. Okay. So there is a big scope of success for you in the IT industry. Work responsibly, take the ownership of the project, of your tasks, and you will have a very successful career with decent hikes, good opportunities, nice promotions. But if you do hide and seek, काम चोरी करोगे, तो life is going to knock you down. Why layoffs में निकलती है public? Okay, because they did not work the way they were supposed to be. बाद में रोने से nothing happens. You cry about it later. IT will be like, जब टाइम था जब काम नहीं किया, अभी रोक के क्या, चल भाई जा. That's how it works. So you need to understand, karma comes back. If you cheat with your job, then the job is going to make your life hell as well. Okay, so you have to be genuine, work hard, give your best shot, and then the life and the job will reward you. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, this reminds me of a situation. Okay, a few years ago, there was this guy in my team. Okay, 4 years of experience, somebody in my team, and unnecessarily not putting efforts. Okay, unnecessary drama, unnecessary not putting efforts, and like compromising on the system. Okay, abhi automatic kya hua? Like, I hate such people, those who don't give dedication to their work and all. So I don't like them at all. And I gave him warning, okay, this is not how it's going to work in this team. You have to do your job properly. There is team waiting on you. If you're not doing your role properly, everybody suffers. And we are not okay with this kind of attitude, whatever you're reflecting on a daily basis. Ek bar warning giya, still same. Then I pinpointed what's wrong in you and how you should do it right. Guided him and all. Uske baad bhi time pass. ठीक है. And after 2-3 reminders also, then he was the same. And then I just discussed with some of the team members, and then we made a decision. No, this is not the right guy for the team. We don't want him in the team. Okay. So IT में process होता है, PIP process, performance improvement. Put a person in that. If the person does not improve, so by the end of that period, he would be fired. Or if he improves, he will be taken back to the team. Okay. So simply, yes, I said to the HR, we don't want this guy in the team. Let's put him in PIP. And if he's not improving, remove him from the system. We don't want to work with this guy. So point is, your actions will invite your consequences. Okay. If you are good, dedicated, people will come in the IT industry to help you, support you, to make you grow. If you're compromising, industry doesn't care about you. Okay, and that's what is my personal experience, and I've seen for many. And उसके बाद PIP में डाला, फिर भी वैसे ही था. And by the end of it, literally, I'm telling, while I was putting in PIP, तो that guy was literally crying कि Tausif, I need this job and all. मैं बोला भाई, practical stuff, you should improve. You should give dedication to the project. If you can do that, we are happy to have you. If you're not able to do that, we don't want you at all. कहीं और जाके do this time pass, not going to work for our team. And then we put him in PIP, and then उसके बाद भी देखो, person's nature does not change. You have to really work very hard to change yourself, and it takes time. In 1-2 months, you might fake it, but after 1 week, that just explodes out. And uske baad, we removed him from the system. But the point to be understood here is it was not my fault or the team's fault. Okay, or maybe that person was also ignorant. But even after guiding, if you are not realizing and not improving, then consequences will come to you, and you have to understand that. Okay, and fine, that's how it happened. And देखो guys, some of the people then have this kind of attitude ki, or if I am not in the system, then the project will collapse and I am the king of this project. That kind of characters will be there. Let me tell you, some of the bad guys which moved out of my system, I'm leading a 40-member team. Since many years, I am leading big teams. Some of the bad guys which moved out from the system, the replacements that I got, those were amazing gems basically. मतलब हीरा होते ना, वैसे हीरे आ गए टीम के अंदर, यार डाई हार्ड, अरे यार वी वांट टू वर्क विद दीस गाइस. That kind of wow feeling and kind of genuine respect comes from such people. Okay, KR, even if now, feel what happens if people are good, I really feel like even fighting with management and business and whoever कि भाई इन लोग से ढंग से काम करवाओ. Okay, not like giving pressure and making this, that, blah, blah, blah. Let's get practical. So then that respect comes when you are good. But when you are bad, it just becomes a careless attitude. हाँ भाई करना है कर, नहीं तो निकल, दूसरा बंदा आएगा, they will work better than you. And that literally happens. Okay, so I just want you to know that your success in IT is in your hands. If you are dedicated, committed, taking ownership of your work, doing responsibly job, you will be rewarded like anything in the industry. But agar kaam chori karonge, if you are like doing hide and seek in the industry, compromising on your efforts, so industry does not care. At least I don't care. I don't know about rest of the people, but it will become, you will become a burden to the industry if you're not good. Okay, so just please understand, these are basic essentials for career success. And pressure rahega, it's not going to go away. ठीक है, but you have to master it, learn it, and grow it through it. Okay, fine. Chalo. Now let's come through. We have what? 9:48, 12 minutes for the call. Okay, simple. Ye kar lo all this. Now, whatever is the estimate, check it. Now, these are three again important things. So first day pe, what you're doing is checking your understanding and approach with your seniors. Important checkpoint. Second, connecting with the other team members and discussing. So that is second important checkpoint. Do it on the day 1 and the day 2 itself. If you feel day 1 what tight hai, to day 1 and 2 mein pura khatam karo. For all your features, not like one feature at a time. Because then seniors will say, हर 2 दिन में आ जाता है एक item लेके. I don't want that kind of work. Other member will be like, अपना काम तो you do, manage it yourself. Why are you coming to us again and again? That is where for your full sprint, whatever is required, one shot may analyze everything, consolidate all questions, ask all questions in one go. Not like throughout the 2 weeks running after people. That's not going to work out. One time. Next, double check estimate, fine. Next, if you have any concerns, if you are not clear or any confusion, raise it. Okay. Next, if you have any open questions which is not answered yet, track it down properly. If there are any dependencies not happened, nothing, but if there is something not clear, track them. Guys, nobody else is doing it. Is your work, your task, you have to track it. And then what happens, guys? Low level design we already discussed. And then comes, okay, then comes the final 2 stages. This is where it gets interesting. ढंग से काम करो, सही तरीके से, work as per the right ways, you will succeed and get very productive results in industry. So if you do these things in the day 1, literally there will be no surprise in the next 10 days. If you don't do these things in the day 1, all throughout the 10 days, uncertainties might happen, people might be confused, they might develop wrong, tester might test wrong, in the end they comes back again, code review may senior raises, this is wrong, that is wrong, then you realize requirement itself was something else, you have built up something else because last moment pe Jira mein requirement was updated. Lot of drama happens in this journey. So day 1 pe these things are important to complete. Now, once you have done these things day 1, this is interesting. Every day we do stand up. This is what, if you see this diagram, day 1 ka task pura clear hai, you're doing this activity. Now for 1 to 4 weeks, daily you will be working. And like every day while you're working, every 24 hours, there is a daily stand-up meeting. Every single day in the morning, the people come together for discussion. Now, this is important. Full team will be there. There is a person called a Scrum Master. His role is to make sure that whatever is committed in the beginning of the sprint, that work gets completed by the end. So that's what is his job there. And then there is the rest of the team member. Now, you have to work very smartly in the stand-ups. Okay. First of all, if you really want to succeed in industry, before the stand-up comes, at least 10 minutes before, try to think about what are you going to discuss during your stand-up. 10 minutes before. Many people don't do this. You do this 10 minutes before, you will get nice output out of your stand-up. What are you supposed to talk during your stand-up? Okay, what did you do yesterday? What is the plan for today? So if you do at least 10 minutes of thinking, we are doing everyday planning, right? Every day, end of the day, we are saying day review, tomorrow, plan for tomorrow. You have to do that for your project. That's how IT projects are successful. What did you do yesterday? What is the plan for today? Are there any blockers, concerns, or support you need from the team? Think about this before the stand-up itself so that you can ask for support. Okay, and now these things are important. Tracking and following up on your requirements, open questions, dependencies, anything which is not clear. We said this thing, right? Day one, by the end, you might get any concern, any open questions, any dependencies. Sometimes the product owner might not give full requirement. That might be open for you. Now, the point is, day one, all these things are there. You need to raise it to your Scrum Master and the team every single day. Still, those things are not answered. Still, those things are not answered. And then you have to tell, if these things are not answered on time, I will not be able to finish this feature on time. Later, don't come to me and say, I work late and finish it. I'm already telling these are blockers for me to start with that ticket. And interesting thing is, you're raising the blockers for all the 3 tickets which you have. Even though you're working on ticket number 1, you have to get your problem sorted for ticket number 2 and 3, and that you have to push and get the work done. So when you raise it every single day in the beginning, then it will get solved. And when you actually start coding on the ticket 2 or ticket 3, then you will be not facing any surprise. Simple way of working in industry, which will make your life simple. But many people don't do that. Look at all 2 weeks, accordingly do the stuff. Next, talk in terms of due date. If it is a 3 days feature, you're already in 2nd day. Just see, are you going to complete it by tomorrow? If you think that's not going to happen, tell it during the stand-up. Hey, it might take me like maybe 1.5 days. I might need 30 more minutes for that, like half day more for that. And then the Scrum Master will say, Arey, by that way, the future 2 weeks of sprint, other work might get impacted. So then they might allocate some more senior to work with you to speed up the things. So, but keep raising the concerns. If you face problem anywhere, raise it so that somebody will solve it for you. If you keep your problems with yourself and then you go till the end of the sprint, all the work and the pressure will be piled up on you and the end result will be a bad job. That is where these daily stand-ups are there, so that you speak honestly your concerns, your risks there every single day. So this is important. Track your questions. Talk in terms of deadlines. Are we on track to accomplish it or not? And then this is interesting. Many people don't do this, but those who take ownership, they think about it like this. Okay, 3 guys are going to work on one feature: UI person, server person, QA person. Even if, let's say, you are a UI developer, you should ask the server developer, bhai, when are you going to be ready for integration? My UI development will finish today at so and so time. Are you ready for integration today only? He says, no, I will do it tomorrow. Then you should be like, Scrum Master, then should I work on the 2nd ticket today then? Because he's not going to finish today. And then Scrum Master might say, hey, other lead, why is he taking so much time? Can you speed up and close the server today only and give it to the UI guy? These kind of dynamic decision making has to happen, and you have to focus at least your work completes on time. Don't let, now this is important, don't let other team members fail your features. Okay, this is important stuff. Don't let other team members fail your features. You have to take 100% ownership of your feature. By the end of the sprint, it should be signed off from QA successfully, and then we will take it to production. You need to do that. You cannot leave it to chance and later नहीं बोल सकते कि अरे QA ने test cases time पे complete did not do it. You cannot say that. It was your job to follow up with the QA, and why did he not prioritize his work properly? And you have to push him. Okay, bhai, we have to finish. We are ready with the feature. We are going to give it to you for testing. Where are your test cases? Are they reviewed? Are you ready for testing? When are you planning it for testing? Similarly, if the UI person is not doing his role properly, you are a server guy, you should be like, today I want it at any cost. I will give this feature to you for integration. And you have to integrate this today. I cannot delay it to tomorrow because end of the sprint is going to get affected. That kind of seriousness has to be there at work. Not like only jolly environment and time passing at work. That doesn't work. If you want success in career, you need to take charge of your work and don't let anybody fail your work. That's how you become great. That's how I grew in my career. 13 years, 40-member team, because always ownership. I will not allow anybody to fail my project. That kind of seriousness at job. And then life rewards. Life rewards and life rewarded. That will happen to you as well, but ownership is required. Don't let anybody fail you at your job. If you become that committed, you will succeed in industry. And there are not many people who think like that. But amazingly, you will find many people who are really good in the industry as well. Okay. But the point is, you will be lucky if you have them in your projects. Okay. But nahi hai to you become that kind of person and people will be lucky to have you in their project. Now, this is what it is. Daily stand-up should be important. And one last thing, let's close it for the day. Okay. We are already like 2 minutes away and this is where we will finish right now. A simple approach by which you will get maximum results from your sprint. The simple 5 rules of you should work. Okay. Many people again go wrong here. They are like, abhi to sprint start hua hai, let's work in a relaxed manner. We have 10 days now, initial 1-2 days, chill karte, later let's work. You need to understand what's happening, guys. Feature kaise hota hai? You do development, UI server development, UI server integration, UI server dev testing, then code review, then give it to QA. Meanwhile, QA creates the test cases, then he does the testing. Then if there are bugs, he will be raising the bugs back to you. Then you have to fix it. You have to again put it back. So it's a chain of work. If you are developers and you have wasted your initial time, you will give this everything late to QA. And then as a tester, if they test it, if they get it late, they will test it late. And if you are delaying, maybe they will also delay. And when later on, if bug comes, it will be almost at the very late stages of the sprint. And then last moment, they are getting bugs. Then they raise the bugs back to you. Then you have to understand, troubleshoot and fix the bugs. Basically, everything will get delayed if the developers relax in the beginning. Okay, not just developers. QA should also write all the possible test cases in the beginning itself. So, one thumb rule. Initial days of the sprint, initial 40% of the sprint, full hard work. Tea breaks ko avoid karo, get the seriousness, create like war mode environment, war rooms people say, get in serious arguments, discussions, like heavy environment at work, question answers, what's the problem, why it's not fixing, create that sense of urgency at work. Initial 40%, initial 4 days should be like that. Get the things, make people work, and that's what, create that environment, become a leader of your own tasks. Once you do this, next, take complex and challenging tasks first. Easy wala longe to that will anyways happen. But when you're in this burning mode of finishing everything, take the challenging task first. Because if you do that earlier, even if there is surprise, you can do something to fix it. But if you're spending just time on easy task in the beginning, complex wale ko procrastinated and delayed for later, it is going to mess up with your future like anything. Full 10 days ki maa bhain ho jayegi. So you have to do it early. Okay, complex task first, full sense of alertness in the beginning. Next, daily follow-up of your dependencies. We already discussed. Next, clear communication. What will happen, what will not happen in the sprint? Why you think it will not happen? What kind of support you need to make it happen? Clarity in that. And guys, always try to deliver more than what is expected from you. Simple rules. but your career will just rocket ahead with success. You will just rocket ahead. These are professional stuff. This is not average man's job. It is IT professional. That's great work. Okay, somebody who feels proud about, yeah, I do great stuff at what I do. I love my job. This kind of checklist, this kind of determination is for those people who say, I love what I do. My life is meaningful. I enjoy my work in IT and I will be responsible. I will enjoy this stuff like anything. And guys, IT is such a beautiful industry, makes a lot of money, people going like traveling, enjoying life a lot. Din bhar AC mein baithe, nice cars and bungalows, cherishing life. So work hard for it. Don't take it for granted. And don't mix with losers in the IT industry, average negative minded people. They will destroy your life, that's for sure. Okay, because those people who just feel the enjoyment of IT and don't want to put efforts at work, such people will destroy their lives and they will destroy you as well. Okay, one last thing I would like to say for today before we close. Okay, and this I even tell this to my team also on a daily basis or regular basis ki dekho, this is important. Okay, I keep telling it to my team, reminding them every time when a new joiner walks into my team, I have this conversation with that guy. You are giving your best time of your life for this project, for this industry. Right now you're in your 20s, 30s, majority in 20s. You're giving your best time of your life where you're filled with energy, enthusiasm. You're dedicating your 10 hours at project. Now that is a big deal. Okay, and when you have dedicated your 10 hours to project, you cannot be unhappy at work. You cannot just say, I'm here in the IT industry just to do time pass. You cannot say that. You have to work your best, because guys, ye 10 ghanta, this 10 hours which you're putting is never going to come back in your life again. You cannot be unhappy in this 10 hours. You have to give your best self out, full dedication out, and you have to love what you do. Then only IT industry is going to be beautiful for you. So guys, it's you trying to measure your own 10 hours. And once you realize this time is never going to come back. And then it comes, why should you stay unhappy in these 10 hours? You should enjoy, you should learn, you should grow, you should become the best of who you are as part of this job also and your personal life also. But people, those who hate their jobs, they just wait for time to tick and evening to happen and run away. But guys, this time is never going to come back to you. It is one directional. Once these, let's say you work for a project for 1 year, and if you're unhappy in that project, basically you have lost 10 hours into 365 days. Chalo weekend nikal do, and that's a lot of time of your life which will never come back. And you have chosen, important, you have chosen to pass your time in an unhappy manner. You cannot do that. Life is way too important than wasting your time. So that's where it says, love what you do. Every single day should be inspiring enough for you to get started and get working. That's how you succeed in this career, and maybe any other competitive career as well. You have to love what you do, because this time is never going to come back. If you don't like your job, change your company, change your people, but not putting your best is not an option, because this 10 hours will never be given to you back again. Never. It's not going to come. This is what I tell my team every time whenever a new joiner comes, and that is the truth. And I'm not telling them that so that they work hard for the project. I tell that because they really understand the value of their time that they are giving to the project, and they should enjoy their work. Otherwise, I am happy if they quit and move out. I don't have problem with that, because I'll get another person who is more dedicated. But people should be happy at what they do, and that's how life has to be lived. Okay? Chalo, let's take the attendance, and whatever we said today, gem words, this will change your life completely. And I know that. Everybody who follows this, your life will completely change. Try to stick with these rules. I applied it for full of my life. I learned after a lot of mistakes. But yes, eventually I was able to know the basics of life, do it right, and able to build a pretty successful career so far. Okay? And I want you also to go a very long way in your career. Chalo, let's mark the attendance, everyone. Okay. Attendance code for today is 1111. And here comes the list, attendance sheet. Okay, guys, chalo, mark your attendance. Let me paste it. I think some of the guys say ki Zoom mein wapas, so I'm pasting it in our WhatsApp group as well. Okay. And tomorrow is the last day. Tomorrow I'll talk about the interviews which will be happening next week. Plus the final day of how you should plan your next self out. Okay. And guys, from 5th June onwards, next career, this is important. Next career transformation is going to be for job seekers, dedicated for job seekers only, full 15 days for job seekers. It's free again, where whatever actions we talked about this time, I'm going to my main funda is doing the things, not just getting ideas, implementing day by day. So from 5th June onwards, we will be daily taking actions to get jobs. And I'm thinking within next 3 months, every one of you will get the job if they do the right actions every single day. And I'm trying to build that program from 5th June onwards. So working professionals, we will put slots separately over weekend workshops or something. But basically, evening 9 to 10 will become hardcore dedicated for job seekers. So if you are available or if you want your friends to get jobs, join me. Okay. So it's again free. I'll paste that link as well in the chat. Okay, 5th June wala registration link. So join as part of that, and slowly we will make sure majority of the people are able to get the job. And my funda is simple, guys. Okay, you become good and you grab a good job offer with nice money. I don't want to cheat with IT by supplying wrong people there. I want you to really become good, and then I want IT to pay you like anything for having you in the team. No hacks. Okay? Chalo. Yes. Share for all job seekers. From 5th June onwards, we will start. And I am revamping the plan of 15 days in order to get a job and as a guarantee. Okay? Let's see. And I definitely know the actions, if people take on all the ideas, they will definitely get it. Okay? So basically, again, it is going to be for development roles, not for everyone. So front-end and back-end development roles. Okay? So which includes Angular, React, and on the backend side, Java, Node.js, Python, PHP, these kind of things. Okay, so let's see. So QA ke liye, I can talk, I can share, but I don't have much expertise to share on that. Test cases, automation, and all. So I can talk about what is expected from them, but coaching and all for QA, I think you should get it from some QA guys. Okay. Yes, for working professionals, we will be allocating some random sessions. So just be part of the group. And I would highly recommend all the working professionals to join us in the morning, 6:30. There we will daily be connecting. Life is going to change if you become part of our 6:30 morning routine member. Okay. So there we are taking daily actions. Today morning also we connected. I think 50 people are connecting every single day in the morning, 6:30. And I think majority from this batch itself came earlier. We were like 20-30 people. But from this batch, almost right from beginning, there are 45-50 kind of people every day waking 6:30. That's going to change life, guys. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay, guys. Yes, everybody fill it. We will do something next. Okay, chalo. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day, and see you guys tomorrow for the last session of this batch. Okay. Thank you, everybody.